cheated, lied to, or tricked? She's tackling every opportunity to make something that went wrong right. Better Call Bacon is on your side.
A Brandon man is trying to help his elderly mother after he says a crook ordered 2 iPhones in her name.
The phones were delivered to her house, but her son stepped in before the crook got the phones. 2 months later, his mother has still not gotten that refund. And that's when he knew he'd better call Bacon.
Jen, Josh, this man not only wants to help his mother get her money back, he also wants to share their story so you will know what to do and what not to do if this happens to you. David Duncan tells me his elderly mother called him 2 months ago with a strange story. She unexpectedly received 2 boxes from FedEx.
And it ended up being a brand new iPhone, Apple iPhone, the newest version.
Each box contained a phone.
By the time I ended up showing up to her house, which was probably a half hour or 45 minutes later, she had already received a second package from FedEx with 2 shipping labels.
Then came a phone call, he says, from someone claiming to work for Spectrum, saying the phones were sent in error and to use the return labels to send them back. But the address was for a house in New Jersey, not a Spectrum office. And when he tried to log on to her Spectrum account,
they completely commandeered her Spectrum account, and so that if Spectrum tried to reach out to her, they would be reaching out to the crooks, and she would be none the wiser.
David tells me he confirmed the fraud with Spectrum and was told this is a known scam. He returned the phones to the real Spectrum, but is calling me for help now because he says his mom still hasn't received a refund. So I reached out to Spectrum, and a spokesman tells me that this type of fraud is impacting many companies. He assured me that he would escalate this investigation, and he promised to get it resolved. Meanwhile, David tells me it's still unclear how someone was able to access his mother's Spectrum account and order the phones in the first place, and he suspects identity theft.
Yeah, and you've done these stories before, so
Yes.
This is happening more and more. It's pretty alarming, so stay on that part of it. But how much of a refund are we talking about?
Well, it's interesting because we're talking 2 iPhones here. David tells me the initial charge was around $300. He said that if the iPhones had been sent to the crooks instead of sent back to Spectrum, she would have been charged $1,400 for each iPhone. So if this happens to you, call the police, call the carrier right away. Never send something that you received in the mail to a third party because it's probably a scam.
You know, it's scary, though, because I can imagine something like that happening to my mom and thinking she would just be doing the right thing by returning it. Oh, it was an error. But you say be suspicious.
Very suspicious.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. If you have a problem that needs solving, better call Bankin. The number is 1-855-BANKIN, or you can reach her on Facebook at